Hey everybody, it's Colin, and I'm here with my mom, Julie,
Hey,
for the second ever edition of Chatting Shit, where as the title might suggest, we chat shit. And something kind of cool or crazy has come out in the last couple of hours. It's breaking for me. I just heard about it. Manchester City might be caught red-handed, you could say, breaking FIFA fair play rules. What have you heard? Let's start out that way.
just what you've heard. I just saw a article came across the internet that they broke financial fair play rules by hiding some money that was funneled directly into the club and claimed as income from different sources like shirt sponsorship and stuff like that.
And I think that's something that's been like suggested, and that a lot of people suspected they were doing something similar, but to have concrete proof like this is crazy. And I wonder if they'll do anything retroactively. I mean, I know they won't.
They won't do anything.
Yeah, but
They won't do anything.
it just shows if you've got enough money, you can kind of make the rules. It's
Grease the right palms, I suppose.
yeah, it's all the more magical what Spurs are doing and continue to do with a well-run business model and not money being pumped in from a sugar daddy. But anyway, back to Spurs. We've had some stuff go on today. We have had an outgoing, and it's not exactly one that makes me happy. But Toby is gone officially.
Not only does it break my heart that he's gone, it breaks my heart the way he's going.
Well, yeah, I hate anyone leaving after this season of no fans. That's that's especially sad. No, he didn't get a proper goodbye, a proper send off. I mean, imagine his last home game.
I think we need to be clear. I think everybody knows we're talking about Toby, but we haven't actually mentioned the name, and that it looks like he's going to Qatar. Like you said, like your banner says, not exactly the traditional Belgian upbringing story that he told everybody. But hey, you know what?
Hey, make your money.
Money talks. You've got, as you've said to me before, they have a limited lifespan of their career. It's like, when Musa went to China, you got to go where the money takes you. You got to make hay when the sun shines, and then pocket it, and then, go back to your, lovely estate in Belgium and raise your children. I mean, 1 or 2 years of this might be all it really takes, so.
Yeah. And I haven't yet seen figures for the proposed salary that he's going to be getting, but I'm sure that it's astronomical. It just doesn't seem like something he would do otherwise.
I've always had such a impeccable opinion of Toby. And I don't know, I watch a lot of other YouTubers, and I read a lot of stuff. And today I heard something that basically, and I don't know if it was unfounded or founded, that sort of undermines that just a little bit. That sort of was talking about how he was a little bit of I don't want to say troublemaker within the team, but that he sort of
there were
fomented some unhappiness amongst the squad. And
there was a mole that was kind of leaking things to the press. It's pretty widely accepted that was Toby,
and that he kind of was behind Poch leaving, that he was kind of or at least supported that he made things difficult for Jose.
He wanted to move while Poch was still there. He expressed his desire to leave. We convinced him to sign a new contract, or at least extend his current one. But so the minute was on the wall.
The minute Jan left that wall, that partnership, things kind of went to hell. Things went to hell.
Agreed completely.
1, 2, 3, drink from your tea.
All coffee over here, but same.
Decaffeinated tea.
Gross. Disgusting. Why would you?
I'm an old lady, and it's nighttime, so.
Yeah, I think everyone that's watching would agree that there's no reason to drink decaffeinated anything. No, just decaffeinated stuff. Anyway, so what do you think about the fee that we got for Toby?
I think it was outstanding. I mean, he cost us 13.6, and we sell him how many years later? 6, 7 years later, or 13?
Yeah, it was 5 or 6.
5, whatever. Yeah. Whatever the number is. I mean, geez. I mean, that's some good investment
That's
there.
that's some Daniel Levy. Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's a masterclass, man. That's awesome.
Oh, hey, look, we actually have a special guest, someone that I really am happy to see, Cody Mac. Hey,
hello.
How's it going, man?
Hi, how are you?
Cody, this is my mom, Julie. She's like the biggest sports fan ever. So yeah, we're just talking right now. We're talking about the Toby transfer. What do you think? Good bit of business by the club?
Yeah, I don't want to take credit for something that might not have been my doing, but when the whole Toby is the mole thing started, that basically started with me. Like,
really?
You remember in mid-March when we were still kind of fighting on 3 fronts. We were in the League Cup still, we were still in Europa, and we were still fighting for top 4 in the Premier League. And just mysteriously, Toby started getting dropped from the first 11, and it was just going on week after week, and nobody could really. And then there was a story that came out that Jose was upset that somebody had been going to the media with information about training and whatnot. And
yeah,
I just kind of put 2 and 2 together and said on We Are Tottenham TV, like, what if Toby's the mole? And then that just started a whole Toby is the mole thing. And then, it kind of spiraled out of control. I'm not saying that it's not true, but I don't know how much credence there is behind it. But, I know that Toby's given a lot to the club over the last 6 years. And when we think of Toby Alderweireld, we associate him with that back pairing with Jan Vertonghen, and we associate him with that brilliant run that we had with Poch. Like, they totally transformed. They really formed a partnership that we hadn't seen the likes of since Ledley King's heyday. So it was, a missing piece of the puzzle for a long time. So it is tough to see him go, but at the same time, he is on the decline. I feel like every year that we keep him, it would be like signing a lesser version of Toby. And as much as it's it's a sad day, I think on one hand, it solidifies our interest in these top level center backs that we've been linked with, the likes of Christian Romero and Jules Kounde. Now we don't really have a choice but to go out and get a proper center back pairing, because we can't be going in, even if we only buy one center back. I think we can't be going in with Rodon, Dyer, and Sanchez being the other center back. So there's different ways to look at it, but overall, you gotta think it's good to business, and it's good for both parties. Toby's probably in for a big pay rise, and the tax rate in Qatar is a lot less than it is in the UK. So he's going to be making hay there for the next couple of years before he settles down in Belgium for the rest of his life. I think it shows
real ambition that we're not looking back, that we're looking forward.
Yeah, for sure. I just hope that, if Toby's being moved on, not only because he wants to leave, but because, the other reasons, the potential of being a troublemaker, you just hope that the other players like Moussa Sissoko and Serge Aurier are on their way out the door as well. That's what I would be looking forward to.
Yeah, and just speaking of Aurier, and I plan to talk about this a little later, actually, but you bring up a good point. Have you heard anything else about the PSG? I remember during the end of the season, it came out in an article somewhere that I think the president of PSG, I don't know, they were really fond of Aurier, and supposedly they had some kind of gentleman's agreement that he would bring Aurier back to PSG. But I haven't heard anything materialize about that yet this summer.
Personally, the last that I seen, it would have been quashed by the media. The interest was no longer there. And especially since PSG went out and acquired Hakimi from Inter for a hefty fee. I don't think Serge Aurier wants to go and play second fiddle to Hakimi. I don't know. I've seen Aurier linked to AC Milan. It's tough because, like in a summer where so far we've been linked with dozens and dozens of players, and then the first deal that we seem to get over the line, aside from the Galini loan, is the Lamela Brian Heel swap. Like, nobody had ever heard the name Brian Heel mentioned at all. So it's a little bit difficult to know what exactly is going on. You feel like some of what Paratici is doing is a little bit of misdirection, and I just hope one of these days, like, I don't know what time zone you guys are in, but I'm 5 hours behind UK time, and so there's already like a feast of news to digest when I first wake up in the morning. I'm just hoping one of these mornings I wake up and Aurier is just gone, because he's at the top of my list of players that need to get moved on.
Well, he was my initial. I thought he was the mole initially, and the whole French mafia.
French mafia, yeah.
It's funny that you said that. Yeah, and but I mean, Hugo's obviously. I don't know. I wish that he had been able to kind of bring everybody together more. I know that's asking a lot of a one man, but as their national team captain, not in the case of Aurier. I know that he plays for Ivory Coast, but I thought that maybe he could bring some harmony among that, but it really did seem like there was some, I don't want to say dissent or anything, but whenever they started I say Aurier and Sissoko, whenever they were both dropped, you did sense attitude problems, especially because whenever they came back into the game and they were played again, they didn't play they didn't play as well as they had been. Right.
Yeah.
And so I really had hoped that,
and part of that's going to be rustiness, but yeah.
But I wonder if that was what Hugo was, referring to whenever though he was talking about players giving up on the team.
Wouldn't it have been nice to know exactly what he was talking about?
I wish of course. Hopefully he writes a book.
Yeah, it would be nice to know what's going on many different levels right now. I mean, the whole Harry Kane thing is killing me right now. I don't know what's going on.
Speculation out the wazoo on that one, though.
It's just you're seeing what's going on in terms of social media, and basically tabloids are running stories about Harry Kane, and people are taking the bone and running with it. And you know what? There might be substance to it, but all this whole time, we have not heard a single official word from Harry Kane himself or the Harry Kane camp. So we can't really know exactly what's going on. My
I'm
gut
not sure
feeling,
they know what's really going on yet, until they get the people in the room and talk to each other,
Yeah. My gut feeling is that he is trying to push a move out, but that he won't go for the nuclear option, especially
of skipping training and
especially if we get some decent players in the door here in the next coming week or so.
I was going to say time is running out on that front.
Yeah, and then you saw the one story today. I don't know how credible it was, saying that Kane wasn't going to be available for Manchester City because of the rigors of the Euro campaign.
Right.
That would be extremely worrying because
very telling. I mean, the first game is against Manchester City, as you all know, I'm sure. And that I could see that being a condition of the sale.
And when has Harry Kane ever not been ready to play?
No kidding. That's the start on the Golden Boot. He's already
that
at
sounds
a disadvantage.
So suspicious,
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, he hurries back from injury time after time. Nothing's going to keep him off the pitch unless it's that he didn't want to be on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very, very scary. And Cody, I've been asking everybody, and there's no good answer. But if Harry were to leave, out of realistic options, what do you think about a replacement? I mean, for one,
better replacement, or what do you think about adequate replacement?
What do you think of it? Just someone to fill that void at all? Because I mean, right now, Dane Scarlett, I'm not 100% sure that we're even going to use him as our number 2 striker. So we would be without a veteran striker in that scenario. Is there anybody that you think would be a good signing that's realistic?
Well, I think it goes without saying that Harry Kane is in the category of irreplaceable. Right. It's not just the impact that he brings in terms of his finishing, but this year especially, he's shown what he can do. He's shown what he can do as a playmaker. Winning both the Golden Boot and the Playmaker Award, and also, like you said, in terms of clearances, he's right up there in I think the 89th or 90th percentile in Europe's top 5 leagues for clearances. So you're never going to replace him. Basically, in order to replace him, you're going to have to buy multiple players because you're basically gonna have to buy someone with like a good ability to finish and a poacher's instinct like Danny Ings, and you're gonna have to get an excellent creative midfielder who can link between the defense and the forward line. So
we desperately need one of those regardless.
We do. So maybe if you, it really depends, because we're looking at having an issue with our homegrown quota if we sell any English players, which is I think that's part of the reason that Harry Winks hasn't been moved on. So I could see us going for Danny Ings. I don't know if the relationship with Southampton is on the fritz because of the way that the Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Kyle Walker-Peters swap went last summer. Apparently, they're kind of pissed off about how that went. So it's hard to say whether or not we'd be able to get that deal over the line. But if we were going to replace Harry Kane, honestly, the thing is, like with Fabio Paratici, his background and his specialty and how he made his name in the Serie A was up and coming as a scouting director. So that's part of the reason why when there's so many people criticizing the move for the young kid from Spain there, Brian Heel, I am totally on board with that, because that is Paratici's bread and butter. So even though we know like Danny Ings is like a known quantity, he would be like a stopgap almost. I would prefer to see someone younger in the 20 to 23 age be brought in, maybe like a Dusan Vlahovic. Or something like that. But I mean, my knowledge of the player pool in Europe is fairly limited. I have a hard enough time keeping up with just Spurs with having two young kids at home as well. So there's definitely other people who would be able to speak on that. And one of them is just sat down beside me here.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit too that my knowledge is limited. I was hoping to maybe, I was hoping I could get educated from you. But yeah, it's going to be damn near impossible. I mean, to even whenever we had Soldado flop, whenever we had Janssen flop, we were just crying out for a 20 goal a season striker. We've been spoiled because instead we got a Harry Kane. But Brian, what's up? First of all, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Lovely to come onto your channel, Neil. Obviously, I've done a couple of shows with you where we've been on Toby's show or whatever. Yeah. Always a pleasure to have this person next to me. And he's going to be a lot closer than this to me in a couple of weeks' time when we actually meet for the first time for the first game of the season. So I can't wait for that. And obviously,
that's crazy. Wow,
hashtag and Cody knows hashtag beers are on me because I lost a bet with him. So Cody's going to have a very good night. And I don't know who this wonderful lady is that I'm coming on with, but first of all, pleasure to meet you.
That is my mother, actually. The biggest Spurs fan I know.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing very, very, very good. Thank you. Very, very good. Always good to be on a show with Neil.
Hey, it's a good one. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm so glad you're here. We're talking, hypotheticals. Things have come up. We talked Harry Kane potentially, being out the door.
Yep.
We haven't really been linked with many strikers, apart from Danny Ings, really, and that link was tenuous at best. Do you have, if he were to leave, is there anybody that you would want us to pick up, even if it was just a short-term answer, like we were sort of talking about earlier?
So I mean, what you've got to look at as well, and as I came in, I heard Cody talking about the relationship with Southampton, and obviously not being good because of Højbjerg and Walker-Peters.
And with
what you got to remember,
what was so bad. I feel like they got the player they wanted. I don't know. I don't feel like, unless we were tapping, was it tapping up? Did they think that we were talking to Højbjerg before?
Part of the problem is Everton were in for Højbjerg for 25 million, and Højbjerg wanted to come to Tottenham to play for Jose Mourinho. So we got Højbjerg at a cut rate because the player wanted to come here, and Levy, being the type of businessman that he is, took advantage and used the leverage that we had and got that price down as far as possible. So I would imagine that it was something to do with the actual process as opposed to the result of just ending up with Kyle Walker-Peters, because Kyle Walker-Peters was excellent for them this year.
It's not just that, Cody, because if you look at what I was about to get to, obviously, before we talk about those two, is you've obviously also got Mauricio Pochettino, Dean Richards, Glenn Hoddle, who we took from Southampton. Obviously, he's a Spurs icon and hero. The transfer situation with Spurs and Southampton, from our point being the bigger club and the buyer, and what we've done with two of their managers, that relationship is not very good at best. So I think this whole Danny Ings thing, and don't get me wrong, Danny Ings is a good striker. He is a good striker, but we know he's very, very injury prone. And if you look at his injury history over the last few years, at Liverpool, he was practically out with knee injuries for the whole time. He's getting hamstrings, and if he comes in with Kane or he's a backup for... if he comes in with Kane, we know Kane's going to get his annual injury, and I bet you bottom dollar that Ings is injured at the same time. But I don't see him as... It's very hard when you have this conversation. We're kind of in a situation that not a lot of fans around the world get to do, where you're talking about, as I think Cody agreed, the best striker in the world. The very best in the world. And obviously you've got Real Madrid when they lose a Ronaldo, a Ronaldinho or whatever. They deal with that. Tottenham have never been in this situation where you are potentially selling. All right, Gareth Bale, we know how that ended, transfers with Levy. So we've got to look into this. And when we think of players, I'm a huge fan. I'm not saying he should be here straight away. Is Dane Scarlett. I've been saying for ages, this guy is going to be on the same career Cody, help me out. Trajectory. I think that's see when Cody gives me that, I know I'm doing good. There you go. So I think he's on the same career path. Let's say career path. That's easier for me to say. Same career path as Michael Owen. Only I think he's better than Michael Owen was now. He is a real star. So it's kind of identifying a striker that could be good enough for Dane Scarlett to learn off, but know that we have the real deal. I just don't think Danny Ings is the man. Everyone's talking about this Fiorentina guy that Jack Konecki raves about. I don't know enough about him to say, yeah, I want him. I just don't know. I don't know who there is right now to say you're replacing the best striker in the world. And you've got to look as well. You need to get a creative player as well. You're losing the creativity.
It's a daunting task. One that I'm glad that I'm not in charge of for sure. It just worries me that we haven't seen. It maybe should reassure me, but it worries me a little bit that we haven't been linked with anybody strongly in the striker department. I don't, part the optimist in me wants to say that's because Harry's staying and we have no intention of getting a backup striker, even because Scarlett has impressed in preseason, and that's the direction they're gonna go. But then, I'm just forever the pessimist, I guess, from being a Spurs fan.
The other way you got to look at it as well, and there's two ways of looking at this. I reckon if Kane goes, you look at it, as I was just saying, you need a goal scorer and a creator. And I seriously think the creator, like the Christian Eriksen, is more important than the striker, because the creator will create, and any decent striker should be able to, maybe not at the success rate Harry Kane does, but they should be able to. If you get a good creator in and he can put the ball in, then you should be able to get the goals. But I don't think you can get a goal scorer to play like Harry Kane in the role that he plays and do what he does. I think it's physically impossible.
Yeah, definitely. He's shown. There's nobody else there's no one else doing it. The only body putting up similar numbers and playing even sort of a similar game to Harry Kane is Robert Lewandowski, but he doesn't have the assist side to his game.
Guys, I'm coming back. I'm just going to sign out. I've got to literally just meet, mate. I'll be back in 5-10 minutes.
No problem at all, man. Thanks for being here. But yeah, it's impossible to replace him. I have no idea what we're going to do.
I agree on needing the creative midfielder, the creator, because we have lots of players who are capable of scoring and finishing that. But we need somebody that can get it to them. You've got Sonny, you've got Lucas, you've got Dele, that are proven scorers, but they need somebody to feed the ball up there to them,
Oh yeah, definitely. But why can't, and maybe, it's Ndombele should be able to be that player. In theory, stripped of defensive duties, I think he would have no problem.
Honestly, Colin, you are the one that has expressed that point far more than anybody else I've ever heard. I agree with you that he has that ability. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I just think that's where his best position is going forward. He's just not shown enough for me that he could play like in a midfield too, for instance. Maybe that worked in France and in the odd European game, but in the Premier League, at least thus far, he hasn't been super effective there. And
I think I have more faith that Gio can fill that
number 8 type role. Yeah, that I agree. I think that he's more suited to it than Ndombele is, at least.
Man, and Ndombele is just such an enigma so far in his Tottenham career. You know, I got into a debate with Will Stewart over on his channel on Tuesday. We do a weekly show there, and
what's the name of that show, by the way, just so everyone can go?
It's called the Bald and Bearded Tottenham Boy Show.
Check him out, like him, subscribe. It's a lot of fun.
But you know, we were having a debate about like how much value he's fulfilled, and the thing is, like, when it seems like when other big teams spend that kind of money, you know, the 55-60 million pounds on a player, the expectation is that they're going to make an immediate impact on the starting 11, and we haven't seen that from Ndombele. We've seen flashes of it, but it's been very inconsistent. We know that about his fitness issues, and now, you know, like, it's tough because some players adjust to new cultures and countries a little bit smoother than others. You know, it's a lot of money getting 200,000 pounds a week at such a young age.
Right.
Different players find different ways to motivate themselves. If a player is motivated primarily by financial reasons, a lot of times when they achieve those goals, they lose that fire, that edge. I think that's you've seen a little bit of that with Dele Alli. We can get into that on a different topic. I don't want to make Mom angry because I know that she said that Dele is her heart. But as far as Ndombele, what I'm looking forward to is how, because we know that he's just recently become a father for the first time, and that can change you dramatically as a person. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with him. This is kind of like a make or break season for him in some respects. If he has another down year, are we going to fall into this same trap where, you know, we have a player who we've paid a certain amount for?
Musa Sissoko.
we have a player who we've paid X for this player, and now we want to get rid of them, but we want to recoup what we paid for them, but they're no longer worth that. And then, you know, all of a sudden they've been stuck 6 years at the club, and it's been 3 years since they've been useful, and I just don't want to.
We'll be having Twitter conversations about it, and you'll say he's been stealing the living, and I'll say, but what about the outside of the boot goal against? You know, well, yeah, I can already.
It's time for him to step up.
It's
time. This is like you say, a make or break year. That, you know, he should be settled in. He should be delivering, and he's got all the talent in the world, so I think he's got to find it in him. I mean, when Jose had to take him out during pandemic times and try to work his ass, you know, I mean,
that
you know, he should have been doing. Pardon me.
Supposedly, Tanji didn't know how to use his GPS thing and was just asking. I don't know. That's a likely story, but that's what was said to the media. I think maybe to keep them from getting in trouble for breaking the pandemic distancing rules. But according to Tanji, he couldn't work his GPS, thingamajig that they were wearing for training purposes. And he saw Jose at the park and was like, "Boss, fix this." But like I said, that's a likely story. But yeah, I know what you're saying. He's got.
And you know what? It may be terribly unfair for me to judge him based on some of the stuff that Jose said. You know, I mean, he's known for trying to motivate people through rather negative means. You know, and maybe, you know, that he thought that was going to work, and maybe there's not as much to the reputation of him being fat and lazy and, you know, unmotivated. Maybe some of that filters from, you know, failed attempts to motivate him. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a tough one to figure out, but I see flashes of.
Oh,
and I say it all the time,
he's
but Musa
brilliant
Dembele,
sometimes.
and Musa was my favorite player. Dembele, that is. I'll just clarify, of course. My favorite Spurs player, just watching him play and how effortless he made everything look, how he could go up against some of the strongest midfielders in the league, in the world, and just make them look, just brush them off like they weren't even there. He was a
god.
It was a thing of beauty, and Ndombele achieves the same thing. He gets out of situations where I have no idea, but he not in the same way as Dembele. The end result is the same. The path to get there is a little different, but it's magical. I just really want to see him. I feel like if we let him go, then he's going to thrive somewhere else, and that would really hurt, really bad. Yeah, he's one that I really don't want us to let go of. I get kind of scared that with all these like swap deals being thrown around, I'm worried that he'll be included in some kind of a make weight in a transfer.
I think, me personally, with Ndombele, if we could recoup what we paid for him, I would probably take it at this point, just because I feel like that would be the safer route. I have more reticence about giving him too much leash, and that we end up stuck with him, as opposed to
the value would just go down and down and down.
Yeah, kind of like a Dele Alli situation. And the thing is too, like, I know that there's the temptation to hold on because of the clear unfulfilled potential that a player has, but there's nothing saying, and like sometimes you operate under the fear that, oh, if we get rid of him, then he'll be successful and we'll regret selling him. You can't be afraid to operate that way, because there's nothing that says if he went back to the French league and became a dominant player that he would have been able to do that in the Premier League. In fact,
True.
I think that the physical nature of the Premier League, it takes its toll on Tanguy in particular, because he's so difficult to dispossess. A lot of times, the only way to stop him is to make a physical tackle, or make a foul, take a yellow card, that kind of thing. I mean, in particular, I felt like the beginning of the end for his performance last season was the first leg against Dinamo Zagreb in North London, because he spent basically the entire match on the ground holding his ankles and his shins, because the Zagreb players, they were just bullying him. And it showed that following Sunday when we had the North London derby against Arsenal. He was a no-show, absolutely. And I think that he was physically just broken at that point. And we never really saw the good version of Ndombele after that. So, but you never know. You know, we have a new manager now. One thing, after the Colchester game, they got Jaffa Tanganga in for an interview post-match. And I will say that the early vibes that I'm getting from the players when they're speaking in public and in interviews is that the mood seems to be quite a bit lifted compared to where we were in April under Jose, before we got rid of Jose. So you never know.
Hallelujah.
You never know what style of management is going to yield the best results from some of these players.
Yeah, he seems more like an arm around the shoulder type of player rather than a publicly shaming. But I also don't know the guy. So
he seems like a good balance in terms of that he wants to be a hard manager in terms of his expectations about fitness and professionalism, but he's not going to expose you in the media to public criticism. He's going to keep it in-house. Like
he's
you
the
said,
anti-Jose.
Well, he's not necessarily the anti-Jose, but he kind of is a hybrid, between Poch and Jose.
I think a lot of his playing theories are the same, but Jose was known for not training them hard, and was definitely a publicly embarrassing the players. And so I'm happy to see that turned on its head,
Definitely. Real quick, I wanted to kind of switch gears and talk a little bit about potential outgoings from the team, and some rumors that I've heard, and I'm sure we've all heard, but whether or not you think there's any validity in these. First of all, the new one I saw today was Sissoko to Wolves, and
Wolves?
and I actually thought that was interesting and made a shit ton of sense. He, especially if they were to lose, God, what? I'm really blanking. Big, huge guy that runs incredibly fast.
Adama Traore.
Traore, thank you so much. Yeah, if they were to lose Traore, I'm not saying that Sissoko is that caliber of player at all, but and I think Traore did add some end product to his game finally. Or there was a purple patch where he was scoring some goals, I think.
And if there's something that Sissoko doesn't have, it's an end product.
Exactly. But he feels that runner, that powerful runner that can, advance the ball up the field quickly. I don't know. I've heard of things that made less sense.
Where's Traore supposed to be going?
I haven't heard many rumblings about him. I'm surprised too. You would think that he would get picked up. I think that he would absolutely destroy in Spain or Italy just with that pace that he has.
Well, what you got to remember as well, and this is the thing, coming with outgoings, we all know the people that we need to go. I was listening to you while I had to quickly pop out and see my mate, and I understand Mother is a huge fan of Dele Alli.
Why does everybody say that? I am not a huge fan of Dele Alli. I'm a huge fan of who he was 2 years ago, not so much who he is now.
So that's about. I mean, so was I. But right now, like I said, I want to play a game where we grab Dele Alli by one of his dreadlocks, spin him around his head, and wherever he lands, he stays. That's the game. But what we got to look at, and this is going to be the biggest test of Paratici, is he's everywhere we've heard and all the other Spurs channels. The problem he's had is getting players out the door.
Oh, in the past, has he had?
Yeah,
we have a problem because we need a lot of them out the door.
Exactly, and it's not just really, it's not just exactly. That's the thing. It's like, how do you try and sell a player that goes, listen, they've been rotting Tottenham to the core. They can't play football. They can't do their position.
Yeah.
They've got.
That's a big selling point. Yeah,
please take them.
Yeah,
and then you've got to remember, not only is it that part, you've then got to try and get Daniel Levy's asking price, which is a huge issue in itself. With the outgoings, like I said, I want Dele out the door first, just because if he comes back to the Dele we know, I'm going to be so frustrated at where have you been for 3 years.
Oh man, I just have the feeling he would too. That's just our luck. Our luck.
I will go crazy. I mean, he's my first, and I believe actually I said this when Cody was doing his show that I went on, the early morning one. You were asking that question, weren't you? Who's the first one out the door, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I even said on that thing, I said, Dele, getting these people out is going to be a huge issue. And I don't know with the way Paratici is obviously coming, and he's obviously doing something, because it does look like he is saying, like, Daniel, leave this part to me. You've given me the power. Let me do what I do. It's getting these players out the door, and I just can't see, like, Aurier. Whoever was Aurier, I mean, we needed our head checked before for buying him. So I can only imagine what it's like on the selling side. Dyer just seems to have more life than a cat. Every single manager seems to love him for some reason.
Let one of them take him. Let one of them take him.
Oh, but I'm surprised Mourinho hasn't come in, but Mourinho's probably, I wanted him.
And then I had him, and I realized.
And you look at it, Sissoko you were just talking about. I think Sissoko will do superb at Wolves. Yeah. Because you've got, like you said, Traore to do that part. Let Sissoko do what Sissoko does. He will be brilliant. And I think in Wolves he will be brilliant. And obviously I'm a bit annoyed. I'm actually very annoyed. And I mentioned Cody today. I did the We Are Tottenham TV update. And the whole Toby to Qatar thing came up. And it's really frustrated me because Cody started the rumor, which is getting a load of traffic.
I didn't even know it was Cody. Yeah, I bought into it completely.
Yeah, that Cody was the mole. I mean, this transcended not just his channel. And then you look at it, and the thing that's got me with this whole transfer is he said he wanted to. Apparently, he's one of the guys that wanted Posh out. Then he had that stuff with Mourinho, where apparently he was ill for a few games.
Yeah.
And then obviously
for sure.
These whole rumours came up, and the big link was Royal Antwerp, which is his hometown club.
Which made so much sense to me. Yeah.
Not only it makes sense, that would have been the romantic side of football. He wants to go end his career in his country with his kit, whatever. and all of a sudden Qatar has come out of and it's like ka-ching, my payday has come in, and I'm very, very, very frustrated.
Well, yeah, I put the banner back up, traditional Belgian upbringing, because that was like a quote. He said that he wanted his children to have the traditional Belgian upbringing. One of his reasons for wanting to leave, and it's going to be weird getting that in Qatar. I'm going to be
right, but the
out.
thing is, he also mentioned that his daughter was going to turn 5 in 2023, and how I see this playing out, because the rumor is that he's signed a 3-year deal with this Qatari side, and I see him staying there 2 years and then getting transferred to Belgium, and it all ends up the way that he kind of wanted it to,
with more money than previously. Yeah.
So he gets his big payday and his homecoming.
Exactly. And there's I don't hold anything against him for that, because
you can't blame
Toby.
him,
you have such a limited lifespan of a career. You've got to make hay. You got to.
I don't think Toby is Premier League quality anymore in terms of his physicality. Like he's got it up here,
right?
But his legs,
he would be great.
His legs have gone a little bit, and he can't play twice a week. So
I've said in the Premier League, this is something I parrot all the time. But in the Premier League, as a defender, you either need like elite pace or elite positioning, and or a little bit of both. He's not quite elite in his positioning, but that's what he relies on now, and he's just a step below. If we played a different system, maybe not quite as high of a line, I could see him being effective still.
I think this is.
He still has flashes of it.
I think this is a deal that benefits all parties involved. It's a good deal for Toby and his family. Spurs get a decent fee for an aging player, and this Qatari club, Toby's going to probably go there and be the face of that club, so they're going to get what they paid for as well.
As long as he's adequately replaced, and that's easier said than done, and asking a lot maybe of Daniel and co. But
maybe the old Toby replacing would be asking a lot, but the Toby he's going to be.
But we needed old Toby.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So we need a player of the caliber that he used to play, and we would need to definitely get Romero in. At a minimum, but
I have to say, I've just looked at it, and it just goes to show. Now, people aren't going to believe what I'm about to say, and I do give credit where it's due. This is where Daniel Levy is a genius. Now, I will say these things because because I've just checked something. These are things I've always said. I've always said on the business side of things, he is an absolute A1 genius, and I've even said if I was ever to get a divorce from my wife, I'd want Daniel Levy to handle it because he'd get such a good deal that my wife's next husband would be paying me alimony. That's how good he is. But I've just checked. The rumor is he's going to Qatar for 13 million.
Right.
We signed him for 11.4 million.
Oh, I thought it was 13.6.
So we're actually going to make a 1.6 million profit on Toby. Now, as I said, I mean, there's probably people in the chat now that if they know me, they will know just how hard it is for me to say this is where Levy is a genius. Like I said, I would always give credit where credit is due. But because I give credit where it's due, I'm allowed to give hate where I do. And believe me, Levy gets it all.
I cannot believe I just heard that. Like, has a wormhole opened in your den there? Like,
hey, Aaron wants you to just call him a genius. Can you do it?
But this is.
I'm clipping that for my own personal use.
I've got Aaron in the chat there. Aaron knows. Mate, you can put it in, mate. I'll even say it so you can get your phone out and WhatsApp it. But don't edit it so it makes me just say Levy is a genius.
Oh, I have to.
Mate, don't, because then I'll sue you for slander. It'll be, Cody, we'll meet for the first time and I'll say you've been served. Listen, that's the thing you've got to look at. We bought him for 11.4 million. He has been a great servant to the club. Don't get me wrong. I will say open-handedly, Jan Vertonghen's my second ever favourite Spurs player behind Gaza. I am obsessed with Jan Vertonghen. Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld is the best centre defensive partnership for Spurs that I have ever seen and probably will ever see. That's how good they were. And to make a profit on him when he's now in his 30s, and we're saying, yeah, his legs have gone, he can't do this, he can't do that.
That's you.
It's okay. By the way, Levy out. I hate Levy. Let's get that back on the agenda. I've had my moment. I'm about to take my meds.
I was gonna say you guys should just get married at this point. You might have to get that divorce.
Maybe I should marry him. I'll get half his money, then I'll buy Tottenham.
We have it all. Everybody, we've got it figured out. Don't worry. The future of the club is now safe. Expect a complete U-turn. Brian, you're gonna spend, right?
Oh, well, mate, I'll spend. My first job is making Cody head of PR because that's what I'm going to do.
What job do I get? I got to get something out of this deal.
Mate, you can have it. Mate, you and your mother can have whatever job you want. Whatever job you want.
Perfect. I'll be thinking about it. But so we're losing one of our best defenders. The one that's been a mainstay. We really need to bring somebody of quality in to replace him. Romero. Has that gotten the "Here we go" tweet yet from whoever that Italian bloke is?
From Romano.
Yeah. Have we gotten the "Here we go" on that one yet?
I don't know.
Almost "Here we goes," but no.
Yeah, I think it's pack your bags. We're almost ready. I mean, when I was on We Are Tottenham TV today, he read out a statement that apparently I don't think came from Romano, but it came from I think my
Italian journalist.
No, I think it actually came from not Romano, the player. What is the name of the Argentinian? I can never say his name right. Romero. Is it Romero?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying at least.
So I think Romano said apparently his bags are packed. Okay. And I was like, you know what? It just made me feel like when you're about to go on holiday and you're packed and you're like, can we go to the airport? Can we go to... I'm leaving for holiday tomorrow. I know exactly how that feels. Oh, you lucky man. Listen, if we get him, and I actually think this is going to get done.
I think so too.
Would you be happy? No, sorry, Cody. You go ahead.
Like I said at the start of the show, I think the fact that we've just seen Toby out the door makes it even more likely that we're going to get not only Romero but a second center back in because that's really what we need. We need two more center backs and a right back and probably a midfielder if we want to really have a 10 out of 10 window. But for sure, the defense needs addressed, especially now that we just let go of Toby.
I have a bad feeling, and maybe this ankle injury will change things. I don't know the severity of it, but Tomiyasu, I could see the club seeing him as both a right back and a center back, and then signing him and saying, well, essentially we've covered both positions, so done.
Right.
From what I hear, the injury is not that bad.
I don't want Kounde. I don't care how much. I don't care how much. Like he may have.
He publicly dissed us.
I love your mother. Hey,
it's how I got to be so awesome, man.
No, literally. Listen, people are getting excited that this deal could come back on. Now, as your mum said, and I'll go back to a player that was at PSG now at Juventus, Rabiot, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
The midfielder.
Yeah.
He dissed us time.
He publicly dissed us in a bad way.
Exactly, and I don't want if he does come now, that deal is going to be because of Real Madrid didn't come in, and I'm like, you've already said you don't want to come. Then because you didn't get your big deal, you do want to come. And then he's going to be the type of player that the Deadwood are just going to get their claws into because he's shown it. And then also, if he has a couple of good seasons, the second a sniff of a Chelsea or a Real or whoever, he's going to put in the request. And I don't want him. I want an Anderson. I'm really excited. I must admit, out of all the players, and I don't know Romero very well. I've never heard of him before now. Tomiyasu, I hadn't heard a word of. But Tomiyasu, I am very, very, very excited for. I really want him.
Can I provide a different perspective on this Kounde discussion?
I would love. That's why you're here, man.
Okay, so one of the reasons that Jules Kounde doesn't want to come to Tottenham is because he wants to be able to win stuff, right? He wants to be able to play in the Champions League. He wants to lift major honors. As much as it is an insult for him to look at Tottenham as a second-rate club, our culture and mentality in general as a club needs rehabilitation. And if we can get a player like that in here who, from what I've read, like I've read that he's had to see therapists because of his hatred of losing.
Oh.
That is the type of player that we need in order to help change the culture of the club. As much as it would be swallowing a bitter pill, considering that he did indeed, as Mom said, publicly dissed us, if we rule out all of the quality players that would not want to come to Tottenham because of the situation that we're in, we wouldn't be able to get good players in the door, except for the players who come here just for the money. And those are the types of players that we're trying to get rid of right now. So I think that there is something to be said for getting a player like Kounde in. Now, I still think that he wouldn't be my second choice, as far like Romero would be my top choice to bring in right now. My second choice would probably be someone like Sven Botman, who falls into that 20 to 23 age range and is also a left-footed center back, which is something that we haven't had that kind of balance in our back line in quite a while. So, but that's just a different way of looking at it for me. But I too was pissed off to hear him say those things about Tottenham. You know, it's the personal jab, you know.
It's the way, Cody, I have to say, and just so I get this right, so the people in the comments, what you just said, I didn't know about the therapist, but don't get me wrong, you're completely bang on right. Like, there's loads of people that say they don't want to come to, it's the way that he has said it. If he just said, listen, I'm looking for Champions League football, then okay, I completely understand that. You're a footballer, you have a limited not lifespan, but career span. I understand, and exactly what you said. We have, and I've said this on many a time, an absolute culture of mediocrity at the club, and it's been allowed to set in. If he had just said, I want Champions League football, absolutely, you've got me banged to rights. But say I don't see Tottenham as a big club, I don't want to go to them, I see them as that's the bit that's got me. Everything you have said, again, is correct. But
I want to know if he was maybe misquoted or mistranslated.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly what he said, because, you know, it's almost like, who knows if that story originated. Like, I'm not familiar with European media. That could have been the Spanish version of The Sun coming out with a story like that. You know what I mean? So I didn't see a video of him saying that. I didn't see an article that used the quotation marks saying this is word for word what he said. It was just a little bit of hearsay on as far as I see it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
If he comes,
I'm afraid if he has to
go
to therapy for losing, that we might kill him.
Yeah, for his own health. If he had said for health reasons, I can't come, then I'm on board.
And, you know, if he wanted to be, you know, an arrogant ass and say that, you know, there is a culture of losing or being Spursy or whatever you want to say, but I can turn that around. You know, I think I'd get way behind him. That I think you have to acknowledge the history of choking or whatever you want to say.
And Jorge said similar things when he joined, that he wanted to help us bring stability and help us with people he knew we could.
Yeah, I could love him more. He's a warrior.
The way I look at it is, I'm not going to hold it against a player who says something that I myself would say about my club. And those are things that I would say about Tottenham right now. So, yeah. I mean, if it's
banged to rights again, I love Cody, but he always has me banged to rights. Always.
I like it. I really love the differing points of view. That's what it's all about. That's what makes it so beautiful. But there's no doubt in my mind that he would improve our back line. I might be going against the grain here, but I like, and actually Brian, I think you said his name. I like Anderson as an option, just because we know that he can do it in the Premier League. He's a much different player to Kounde. They play center back in a different style, but he's a good player. And I like the physicality that he offers, and I like that he's done it already in the league.
So what I mentioned before, and what I see, I mean, we talked about when I said the best Spurs partnership, when we talk about Toby and Jan. When you look at defensive partnerships in the Premier League history, I say the best defensive partnership I've seen is Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. And what you got out of that is you had the hard as nails defender that will just put his body on the line and smash through anything, Vidic, which I see as a Romero.
Mm-hmm.
and then I see the Ferdinand, the silky, bringing it out of play and passing it, being Anderson. Now we may play a back three, and it may be like a Rodon or a Tanganga play on that side, but I just think a Romero and Anderson partnership could be absolutely of the ilks. Not saying replica, but I mean their styles of play.
Yeah,
will marry each other like a Ferdinand and a Vidic.
I'm excited. I think that Romero mostly has played in a 3 when he is impressed in Italy. Am I wrong? Is that what you guys understand as well? That he's been
I
playing
wouldn't have
in
a clue.
I think that he plays in a back 3. I'll Google and double check. But I'm sort of worried if that's the case, if he can make the transition to a back 2. We've seen in the past some players, you know what I mean, just can't hack it, can't find that groove when switching from a 3 to a 2. I'm hoping that's not the case.
Well, I mean, we don't even know if we're doing back 3 or back 4 yet.
That's a really good point. We have been for preseason, but that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
So I can't remember who it was. I can't remember what channel it was, or even if it was a YouTuber or not a pundit. It definitely weren't from Nuno himself. But people were saying, I think he started off playing with the back 4 to see what the players are like. But when we got these preseason friendlies against Arsenal and Chelsea, then you're going to see those are the games where he's going to be right. Let's get the system sorted for how we're going to play the season.
Yeah, I'm excited for those games.
Do you know what? I am excited because obviously it's Spurs Arsenal, it's Spurs Chelsea, but I hate that they're doing this as a preseason. Yes, it's for a great cause. As you know, I've spoken about it and done a show about mental health and my issues with mental health and my demons and my addiction thing that we've had to do. Mind is a great charity. Mind is they help me with my mental health issues. I've got a lot of time. I even still to this day donate money monthly to Mind. But there's no such thing. Like when they say with England, Scotland, there's no friendlies. There is no friendly before the season or whatever. And I just think playing Spurs, it's going to be carnage. And I just don't. I agree with doing it for the charity. I love the thought of a serious couple of pre-seasons. I just wouldn't have picked Chelsea and Arsenal for it.
Yeah, I completely agree, honestly. I mean, for one, there's legitimate, I wouldn't say hatred. That might be a going
yeah, I would say hatred.
But between, I mean, especially with Chelsea in recent years, I'm just worried about challenges. I'm worried about players getting injured before the season even begins. With our luck, they would be, it would be a season-long injury. Or at least many months on the physio table that we can't really afford with our squad. We have a thick squad, but a thin squad in terms of players that we would actually want to see on the pitch.
I think it's ridiculous that we're playing Arsenal and Chelsea in the preseason. You know what? Unless it ends up being just a run out for the under 21s, I don't see why you would want to go up against them and be giving them tactical information and giving them the opportunity, like you said, to put a 2-footed tackle in. It just doesn't make any sense. Not that, there wouldn't be risk in other preseason matches, no matter what, but it almost takes away a little bit of the nastiness as well.
It tarnishes the derbies, doesn't it? Just a little bit.
It does a little bit in my eyes, especially considering like both of them. Why not just one or the other? Like Tottenham and Arsenal should never be cooperating. And for me, the preseason is in part a cooperation between two teams. You're giving yourselves an opportunity to get ready for the season. So I don't like it. Maybe I'm just a old school, but I do have to get going. I wanted to just say thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you so much for being on, dude.
Always nice chatting. Always nice to see Mr. Brian Dagul, and we'll see you later, Mom.
Oh, I always do that.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you got it wrong. Yeah. I got to go clip that video of you saying that Levy's a genius.
Mate, I swear I've left on there. But do you know the other thing? The other thing that I'm worried about, I say worried. This friendly, the Spurs-Arsenal one, is at Spurs. And this is going to be, fans are allowed in now. There are going to be a hell of a lot of fans at that game. And it'll be the first game that X amount of thousands have seen in a long time. And it's going to be Spurs-Arsenal. Now, just the adrenaline from the fans and everything.
Oh,
this
God.
is not. I think this is going to be. I just don't like it because I used to go to every preseason friendly, the one at White Hart Lane before the season kicks off, which was always a big team. It used to be a big team, whether it be an Inter Milan or a Spanish team. It used to be a big game where they kind of showcased the new players, and it was always a foreign team, so they never got to see the whatever. I just don't. It's a wonderful cause, like I said, for mind and mental health. I'm just not happy about it.
Yeah, I see. I'm glad that you guys said that, and I'm getting to hear that side because I was excited. I wanted to see us go full strength. I wanted to see what formation that we would be probably employing. But yeah, that's definitely another dimension of it that I hadn't thought of. Another thing I just thought of, I know that there's kind of been COVID outbreaks, but that's gonna draw such a huge crowd before the season even starts. I'm worried that we're only gonna get 1 or 2 games this season before,
Maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe they want to give the fans a chance to be in the stands and see a real game.
Well, also money, right? I know that they're donating to the charity, but that's got to be a small percentage of what they're bringing in. I would think
it will be. They'll do a percentage of however many tickets they sell. X amount of that ticket price will go to, and I'm sure that they'll do certain things. Well, not just gate receipts. They might do concessions on the food and whatever. And like I said, I can't stress enough how much of an important cause mental health is and what my close affiliation with it.
We've spoken too.
Yeah, we've spoken and we'll continue to speak about that. But like I said, this could have been done. They could have done it. Like you've seen that, maybe not so much with international teams because of COVID and getting people over and whatever, but they could have done this with other teams.
Well, Bob Spur has an opinion that he said that he loves the fact that we're playing these competitive games, and they'll tell us more about the team and how we're going to line up. And
competitive, yes, Bob Spur. I completely agree. It's great to do those. If I had to choose 2 games and 2 teams not to play in succession before a season starts, it would be these 2.
Yeah, I could think of teams I'd rather play from the Premier League. For sure.
I'd also like to have the team gel just a little bit more before we have to face these guys.
Luckily, they're in a similar position.
Yeah. Well.
But still, that makes a lot of sense. So, on the whole, are you excited for the coming season? Are you starting to get excited? I know everyone was a little pessimistic, especially after Jose and the way the last season ended, Ryan Mason. But are you getting excited yet about the coming season?
I look at this as 2 ways. I want to thank England, as in the football team, for bringing my love of football back. Because when we scored our first goal against Croatia, it was the first time I'd celebrated a goal properly since Lamela scored his Rabona at the Filth Stadium, because what had been going on at Spurs, I'd always watch them, but when we scored I was like, yeah, well done, whatever, yeah. But then obviously, so I've got that back. We got the new manager we all wanted, or not that we all wanted Nuno. We've finally got a manager that we Paratici has come in, and it looks like these deals are going through. So it's something that I am positive, but what I'm not positive about, and I've got to stress this because I spoke to Bob Spur after we done his stream earlier, I'm very, very concerned that if we get a couple of players in and maybe we get a good start, these NFL protests, there's going to be a lot of fans that go, oh, look, we brought the players in, oh, like we've done before, oh, look, Levy's trying. It's one smoke screen because he'll do it 1 year and then it will go. And it's like those fans that think, oh, he's really, really done something. He's showing it this time. I've seen it for 14 years. I know how this is going to play. So I'm kind of excited, yes, for the season start, and it's always great to have football back. But I'm slightly concerned that if we do get Romero in, we do get, let's just say, a Danny Ings, we do get Gill in, we do get... Then people will be like, oh, look, we really, really did well this summer. And it's going to detract from the main issue, which needs to be addressed. So I'm kind of 50-50.
I'm the same. Mostly, though, because I'm just so concerned about the whole striker issue. you know, it's just so up in the air. And I know that the team has done all they can. Nuno's come out and said we expect to have him at the beginning, but that's what every team says, regardless of if they sell the player or not. And I also understand that we don't hear every single link, and we're not privy to every player the club is after. But the fact that there are so many Kane to City rumors that haven't been quashed by his camp, and no rumors about incoming strikers, just has me like wet in the bed a little bit.
See, I guess I'm just rolling with it. You know, I'm kind of I was very down for the last couple of seasons with the downward spiral, and I feel like there is sort of a feeling of rebirth and regeneration in the team. And if we can get rid of some of the people, although you guys are saying that Paratici's not good about getting rid of people, but if we can do some turnover and start really building a young team again, I think it's like the beginning of the Poch era. I'm kind of excited for the future. Maybe I'm just too sunshiny, but that's the way I'm looking at it right
I'm
now.
excited too, and it hasn't been until lately I've been so worried about Kane. Shane Black though brings up an awesome thing that I had no idea about. I'm gonna have to research, but links to Ivan Toney, that would be incredible. I could only see him coming to the club if Kane were to leave, though. He would never come off of the back of the season he just had and play second fiddle, in my opinion. What do you think, Brian?
So what I have to say with this one, great striker, would love him at Spurs. I'm always very, very excited. I'm so happy for Brentford. When you see teams like this, at Blackpool or whatever, who have never been in the Premiership, when you see those and I've done a lot of research on Brentford, and the Sky Sports did a wonderful thing and showed like what this guy has done since he took over the club when they were in the lower leagues, brought them up, how they scout players. Like, you got to remember, they had Ollie Watkins before that, and he went to Villa. Kind of like Leicester, they kind of have a network where they're finding these people. The Brentford chairman as well. Now, it sounds funny when we say this, when we're talking about a club the size of Brentford, they don't need money. They've just come into the Premiership. They love him at Brentford for obvious reasons. He's going to create history. No matter what happens, he's going down as a Brentford legend. I think now they're in the Premier League, it's going to be nigh on impossible to get him out of the club, especially for the amount of money Brentford will say. Brentford can put a silly tag on his head, and they don't need to sell. Their chairman's loaded, but they've already got 120 million just for getting in the Premiership. They're not in need of money. I reckon if they go down, and let's say Kane stay, and then Kane's, because a lot of people are saying, I still think Kane's going. Do I think it'll be 160? No, but I still think he's going to go. But if we keep him, amazing. But we all know that if he stays this season and we don't win anything, he's gone next season. 2 years left on your contract, you're going. If Brentford go down, I would say if he can handle it in the Premiership, he's the number one. Like, if he can get 10 to 12 goals in the Premiership, not including penalties, because he will be Brentford's penalty taker. If he can get a fair return on goals, then you snap him up, regardless. The one we should have got in is Patson Daka, who's gone to Leicester. We all know what Leicester do. But I reckon if Brentford get relegated next season, we have to go and get him. Have to.
No, absolutely. I think regardless of if Kane stays or not, even past next season, that he could be the future for sure. We've got some people in the chat though that don't think Kane's going. This is Aaron again, but he says Kane is going nowhere. Scarlett's ready, and Ings would be a good option.
I'd be happy keeping all three of those.
Well, God, yeah, we would be spoiled for choice if the rumors are true about Ings.
Well, somebody's got to play in that conference league.
Scarlett, baby.
Well, Scarlett, I'll tell you now, if Scarlett plays, and they do play the youth, like in that conference league, hands down, Scarlett wins Golden Boot in that tournament. Hands down, no matter how far we go, he will win that. You'll hear me all season. So I mentioned about Michael Owen. The thing about the Spurs Youth Academy and what's coming through, I rave about how good Scarlett will be. Alfie Devine is going to be better. Now, I've got kind of an inside track with Alfie Devine from his Wigan days, because couple of the husband and wife of mum and dad's very, very close friends. Their son was actually on the medical team at Wigan, and once we got him, I spoke to my dad, who spoke to them, and this guy is waxing lyrical about the fitness and stamina of this kid, and how incredible this guy can be. But yeah, Dane Scarlett, I honestly think I say it all the time, he's going to be better than Michael Owen.
So does that mean we get rid of Parrott?
Yes. If anyone would take him, I would get rid of him yesterday.
Do you know what? There's a lot of hype about Parrott, and he was really good. There has been, and then do you know what? I mean, like with Bakary Saka, I really didn't want Troy Parrott to take that penalty against Norwich. Obviously, it's nowhere near the level that Saka took that penalty for obvious reasons. But he just didn't look confident. And then he went on loan to Millwall. It didn't quite work. Then he went off to Ipswich. And I wish him all the best. I just don't think I don't think he's at Scarlett's level. Let's put it that way. I think he's nowhere near Scarlett's level. Scarlett, if you check his goal scoring history for the youth, it's astronomical. It's off the chart. He is, and we also saw, if you saw when he actually came on as a sub in those two Europa League games, may have been 15 minutes each game. He caused pandemonium in those 15 minutes. He is going to be.
He's got legs for days. I mean, he's got such pace.
He's going to be frightening. Like I said, he will be better than Michael Owen.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see it. That gives me more hope too about the loss of Kane. It's just a shame that they're such different strikers. Yeah. You know, it would take some adapting on the way that we. Yes.
My phone's going to die.
Oh, well, I'll let you go. It's been great. It's been great having you on. I'm about to wrap things up as well. So,
Mama, it was an absolute pleasure.
Nice talking to you. And very informative. Glad to learn a lot from you guys.
Oh, I thank you. I like being called informative. I've been called a lot worse. Let's put it that way.
And we'll do it again soon, too.
100%.
So until next time. See you, Ma.
Bye.
Yeah, Brian, I'm excited about how excited you are about Dane Scarlett.
Yeah, he is. Honestly, I can't keep saying. I mean, this guy is. We're like we spoke at the beginning of the show, or when I came on, about saying selling Kane. It's very rare that Tottenham Hotspur have been in a position to have like the best in the world of anything. Yeah. Now, Harry Kane went out and had to go on loads and loans and worked. Because even people saying, I know Tommy, who obviously you go on his show a lot, even says when he was doing his scouting and stuff, people were saying that Kane, they didn't think he was going to be anywhere near what he thought he was. And it was through hard work, dedication, going out on loan, learning his trade. There hasn't been the slightest rumour about sending Dane Scarlett out. Yeah, Troy Parrott, go out. Kane, you went out. They don't want this guy going anywhere.
And you heard Mourinho's good things about him that he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say in favour of the loan system is if Dane Scarlett isn't going to feature this summer, if he's only going to be, this season, if it's the Conference League and Cup games, get it, completely keep him.
Yeah.
But you look at the loan system and you think, do you know what? He could go out and play weekly.
Against adults, against grown men.
Exactly. Maybe in a championship team, maybe even against, let's say, bottom half Premiership team. Mm-hmm. But not only just to send him out on loan. I've said this on Tommy's stream. I'm obsessed with Max Aarons. I want Max Aarons at Tottenham Hotspur. Now,
the right back for Norwich.
Yeah. Now, you could say with Norwich, if any team go in for him and we really want him, you can offer money and say, listen, like we did with Ollie Skip, and we've seen how Ollie Skip turned out, we'll give you Scarlett for a year as long as you play like you did with Skip. And maybe that will get the best out of him. So when he comes back, but then you look at it, if we've only got Kane for another season, you can learn off the best.
Right.
So it's a case
there's a lot of value in that, I think, in learning your own team system. You know, you're not learning the system that Norwich play, you're learning Spurs system. And I know that we've tried to do like a bottom to top kind of everyone plays the same, you know, that we employ the same style throughout the youth teams, as we do in the senior team, or at least that's how it was in the past. So I know that he's already at least somewhat familiar with the system. But yeah, I don't think that enough can be said about. He's already said too in an interview recently that Harry Kane's his favorite player, the player that his footballing idol, and yeah, I wouldn't want to take him away from that.
So there's a comment just come in from the great, incredible Shane Black, and I mentioned this on a chat on the Irish Hotspurs show. I really wanted this kid. I really wanted him. I said it when he went to
Leicester.
I said it when he was at Leicester, and funnily enough, we were linked with him. Guess what? Didn't happen. I think we know what happened there. He is a real talent. And then when I put it in a chat, they started talking about it, saying for 1.7 million, Everton have signed him. And if you look at it, I think
he not sign a contract extension or something?
He signed for Everton for 1.7 million. He's at Everton.
Dang.
And it's like you look at it, and I think it was I think it was Jack who said, listen, he went to Leicester, didn't work out for whatever reason. Rodgers didn't want to play him. They got him out to Leverkusen. Leverkusen have only sold it. Maybe there's an attitude problem. Maybe there's this. But look, we're talking about Gil for 20 million or whatever it may be. For 1.7 million.
And he's homegrown too. Correct me if right. He would be counted as homegrown.
I would have. Sorry, say again.
Was he homegrown? Was he?
Yeah, he's English.
God.
So for 1.7 million, he would have been absolutely. What's there to lose?
Yeah. Nothing.
Cheers, Bossbird. What's been watching me like a hawk. I sneezed on his stream today, and he caught me. Mate, he's just like he's got player cam on me.
I hope he's not watching me as close. God, I don't even want to think about all the dumb shit my face does. And
I will say again is Bossbird, congratulations on hitting
1,000. I was there when it happened. I can say that I was officially there when Bob Spur hit 1,000 subs. He's over. He's well over now.
Well deserved, mate. Well deserved. One of the nicest guys. I mean,
I hope to one day. I think he and I were on Tommy's show at the same time once, but it was when I very first started doing this, and I didn't know I was in the presence of greatness. I would love to do another show with him. Bob Spur, you hear me? We got to do something, man.
He's honestly, like I've said it many a time, and I always do. And I'm sorry for just making this a bit of a Bob Spur loving, but I can't help it when it comes to him.
Man, he deserves it for sure.
He is someone. Like I said, the way social media is done and the way this Tottenham community have opened up, we've got to meet some exceptional people and become very close friends with, without even meeting face to face. Bob Spur is one of them, and he's one of the nicest guys you could ever wish to meet. And he's always available to help people out. We all know that he's had his health issues and whatever. He went to the protest, drove 3.5 hours, whatever it is. This guy is honestly one of the nicest. I cannot wait till I'm back in London in September, late September, and then for most of October, just so I can see him face to face. I cannot wait.
Man, I've only ever heard great things about the man, and he even offered. I reached out to him about intro I'm making for my channel, and he said, if you need any help, don't hesitate to hit me up. He seems like a A1 stand-up guy, so. Maybe when I'm going back to London too. Actually, I had tickets to go before the pandemic. Luckily, I had insurance on everything, so I can go back. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'll have to hit you up, Bob Spur TV. But man, Brian, I think I'm actually about to have to end this one. But
brother.
I can't believe I've successfully gotten through episode 2 of Chatting Shit. And I had the pleasure of having you with me. Thanks, man.
Oh, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you ever need me again, obviously, if I'm not busy, I'm there, mate. Anytime you need me.
You're a good man. You do some stuff on YouTube too, right? You wanna?
Yeah, we do. We have a channel called Tottenham Away. We do a podcast on a Monday. Then we have a show called The Two Brians on Friday. Lots of stuff in the pipeline. Some big news coming in. Yeah, but you'll find us at Tottenham Away.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Watch his old videos. Comment on things. Just show him some love. And if you also want to like and subscribe to my channel, I'd be happy to. So From me, Colin at Talking Ball, and my best friend Brian here. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one.